Hello there, and welcome to the third and final webinar in our Understanding Dementia and Dementia-Friendly Communities series. If you are just joining the series now, my name is Ilse Bird, and I'm the Sector Support Coordinator at your side alongside Rosie. I'm also the Chair of the Northern Beaches Dementia Alliance and Northern Beaches Dementia-Friendly Project Manager. In our previous webinars, we provided an introduction to understanding dementia and all about dementia-friendly communities. If you have missed these webinars, they are available on our website. In this webinar, we will be covering person-centred care, communication tips for staff, information for organisations, opportunities for further education, and important contacts for providers. So let's get started. Person-centred care is the foundation for quality service delivery and dementia care. Person-centred care means shifting the focus of care away from dementia and placing the person at the centre of care. It includes three key features. 1, improving well-being and quality of life regardless of level of care, for example, even in the palliative stages. 2, nurturing a sense of self and who they are, for example, personality, likes and dislikes. And 3, meeting emotional, social and psychological needs, for example, through support and reassurance. We're going to begin by looking at malignant social psychology. Malignant social psychology is a research term that categorises several negative behaviours and attitudes that can be detrimental to the personhood of someone living with dementia. These behaviours and attitudes are normally inadvertent, but they are also unfortunately very common in aged and dementia care. These slides list each of the actions and behaviours that are classified as malignant social psychology. Treachery includes using deception in order to distract or manipulate a person into compliance. So for example, if a person with dementia was asking where a deceased relative was, an example would be lying and saying that they are at the shops. Disempowerment involves not allowing a person to use the abilities that they do have. For example, doing a task for someone because you feel they do it too slowly or imperfectly. We're not talking about doing a task for someone because it is unsafe for them to do so. We need to remember the principles of dignity of risk versus duty of care. Infantilization. This means treating a person very patronizingly or like a child. For example, speaking down to them or using terms such as sweetie or honey. Intimidation is inducing fear in a person through the use of threats or physical power. For example, saying something like, if you don't take your medication, I'll call your wife or husband. Labeling includes using inappropriate references or categories for people. For example, labeling someone based on their behaviours, like the wanderer. Stigmatization means treating someone differently to others, or as an outcast. For example, not offering choice to a client just because they have dementia. Outpacing includes providing information at a rate too fast for the person to understand. For example, speaking quickly or asking too many questions at once. Invalidation is failing to acknowledge the reality of a person's experience and their feelings attached to it. For example, a person with dementia may experience delusions. It's important to understand that this is their reality. So don't argue. Instead, validate how they feel by saying something like, I'm sorry this situation makes you feel sad or angry. Banishment means to exclude someone either physically or psychologically. For example, not involving a person living with dementia in conversations about their own care. Objectification includes treating a person as an object, for example, when moving someone during personal care. Ignoring means carrying on in the presence of someone as if they were not there. For example, talking about a client to a carer or relative while in their presence. Imposition is forcing a person to do something or denying any possibility of choice. For example, for forcing a person with dementia to wear a particular outfit. Withholding includes refusing to give attention or meet an evident need. For example, ignoring a request for help with a task, saying you can do it yourself. Accusation is blaming or criticizing actions that arise from inabilities or misunderstanding of the situation. For example, using terms like it's your fault. Disruption includes intruding suddenly or disturbing upon a person's activity or thoughts. For example, interrupting mid-sentence. Mockery means to make fun of a person's behavior, actions, or remarks through teasing or making jokes. For example, laughing with a colleague that a client with dementia put their pants on backwards. Disparagement is about telling a person that they are incompetent, useless, or worthless. For example, saying something like, you don't know what you're doing, if someone was doing a task incorrectly. Positive person work is a stark contrast to malignant social psychology and can enhance personhood and a sense of well-being. Positive person work is a crucial aspect of quality person-centered care. This slide includes all the key themes related to positive person work. Recognition is the acknowledgement of the uniqueness of each person. For example, calling someone by their preferred name or title, such as Dr. or Mrs. Smith, or discussing life achievements. Negotiation includes support with decision-making and choice. For example, allowing them to choose brands while shopping, or what colour sheets to make the bed. Collaboration includes working in partnerships towards goals. For example, assisting a person with dementia to do something rather than just doing everything for them. Play is about providing activities for enjoyment and self-expression. For example, telling jokes during a mundane or unenjoyable task. Stimulation means sensory interaction. For example, bringing in herbs from the garden or lighting an aromatherapy candle. Celebration includes the recognition of life achievement and events. For example, saying happy birthday to a client or discussing an upcoming wedding anniversary. Relaxation. This is about allowing time for rest and solitude. For example, don't bombard with constant questioning or unwelcome conversation during services. Validation. This is accepting thoughts and feelings regardless of circumstances. For example, as a result of delusions or altered perceptions. Holding is providing a safe environment for expression. For example, if someone is distressed, stay with them, provide reassurance, and validate their feelings. Facilitation is assistance with activities that they may not be able to do on their own. For example, helping them to do an activity that may be unsafe for them to do on their own. Creation is about encouraging creative outlet. This might be as simple as singing along with them to their favourite song. Giving includes accepting and giving kindness. For example, making a cup of coffee for them or picking their favourite flowers from the garden. Each of these themes can be easily and creatively incorporated into service delivery to ensure that you are delivering quality dementia care regardless of service type. We're now going to look at communication. Communication should be tailored for people living with dementia to reduce misunderstandings and create relationship. We know from research that behaviours exhibited by someone living with dementia are often because of a communication breakdown of an unmet need. For example, aggression or repetitive questioning may actually be a sign of frustration with an activity or a task. We're always communicating with our words, body language, and actions, so we need to understand what we are communicating and how this might be interpreted. I'm going to share some tips related to verbal, non-verbal, environmental, and person-centered strategies to foster effective communication with people living with dementia. First is nonverbal. I could list every type of effective nonverbal communication, but instead I'm just going to share the acronym SOLS. Firstly, S. Sit facing the person you are speaking to so that you can be clearly heard. O. Have open body language, not arms or legs crossed, as this may be misperceived as hostility. L. Lean into the conversation. This shows that you are interested and listening. E. Give eye contact so that they can read your facial gestures and interpret your emotions. S. Smile, because a smile can be very reassuring to someone who is anxious or confused. The second is verbal communication. In the first webinar, we talked about how language processing can be impacted by dementia. These tips will help so that the person you are speaking with can understand what you're saying. Firstly, speak clearly. If a person with dementia can't hear or understand you, this may trigger frustration or even aggression. Secondly, use simple, short sentences. Too much information will be overwhelming and confusing. Next, allow the person with dementia time to answer. Their processing speed is slower, so they need time to interpret what was said and then formulate a response. Avoid open-ended questions. Use direct and closed questions. For example, instead of saying, "What would you like me to clean first?" say, "Would you like me to clean the bathroom first?" Next, avoid correcting their mistakes. This can be very frustrating for someone with dementia, as they know what they were trying to say, but it is difficult to find the correct information in the brain. Also, never argue. As already stated, their perception is their reality, even if it is not your reality. Finally, repeat sentences if required. Someone with dementia may get confused when trying to answer questions, so repeat the question in a different way. The third is environmental. The environment may also impact on mood, behaviour, and communication. We may not always be able to control the environment, but you should be aware of some of the environmental triggers that may impact a person living with dementia. Temperature. If temperature is uncomfortable, for example, too hot or too cold, this can be distracting relative to thought and language processing. Turn off unnecessary heating or cooling if possible. Lighting. We also know that people living with dementia experience visual disturbances. If an area is too dark, it can impact on a person's ability to read facial expressions or interpret body language. Alternatively, if lighting is too bright or visually stimulating, this can cause confusion. Noise. People living with dementia also experience slower auditory processing. Unnecessary or overstimulating noise can inhibit hearing and also cause confusion. If possible, limit background noise, like turning down a TV during conversations. It is also important to understand these environmental considerations for events and outings. For example, a venue such as a shopping centre may provide overwhelming visual and auditory stimulation. Our final communication strategy is person-centered communication. Firstly, timing is important. You need to know and understand the times when communication is most effective and when it is not for each person. Communication aids are more relevant for later stages of dementia, but if you know that someone isn't able to communicate verbally or gets words mixed up, a communication board with pictures can assist them to communicate their needs and wants. Life histories and stories. Relationship is important in person-centered care and communication, so use their life history to connect with them. Likes and dislikes. Similarly, getting to know what they like and dislike will help you to understand who they are. Next, place value on their lives and experiences. Many people living with dementia are older, so place value on their life wisdom and learn from them. Finally, ensure that families and caregivers are involved. They may provide valuable feedback valuable information regarding communication techniques that work and also don't work. We've looked at person-centered care at an individual level. Now we're going to look at the principles of dementia-friendly organisations as described by Dementia Australia. Although aged care providers are not eligible to be recognised for dementia-friendly status, these 6 principles should be embedded into your core business to ensure that your services can adequately meet the needs of clients with dementia. The first principle is involving people living with dementia. This means finding out what clients living with dementia want and need. This can be done through client satisfaction surveys or focus groups to provide feedback about each principle. Secondly, any changes require a whole organisation approach, which means commitment from all levels, including the board, and not just the staff who have contact with clients. It's also about organisational culture, which means it requires adequate communication with staff about what the organisation is doing, but more importantly, why they are doing it. The third principle is professional development and upskilling of staff. Not only current staff, but also including training in induction processes too. Watching this webinar series is certainly a good start, but there are many courses available online or face-to-face, which I will be talking about a little later. One simple action you can do now would be to download and distribute the language guidelines from Dementia Australia, which explains the correct terminology around dementia. These are also available on our website. The fourth aspect is an environmental audit. This may not be relevant to organisational premises if they are not accessed by clients. However, staff should still be aware of how a person with dementia makes sense of the world around them. Sensory changes can distort how someone living with dementia interprets their environment. For example, they may see a shiny tiled surface and believe that it's wet or slippery, or a patterned carpet may be perceived as moving. The fifth element is business documentation, policies, and procedures. For example, does your organisation have a policy for continued employment for staff who have been diagnosed with dementia? Or are there procedures to offer support for volunteers living with dementia? Also think about your client communication, such as flyers, emails, and even your website. Does the font size and colour support someone living with dementia to interpret it? It's recommended that fonts should be high contrast, for example, white and black. The final principle is continuous improvement. How will your organisation review and ensure that you are achieving your goals? Consider regular scheduled reviews and involve clients through surveys or consultation. You may even like to create a project working group or steering committee with staff and clients. We're now going to look at continued education. There are many different professional development courses that exist through education and training providers. The following are just some examples of providers of online or face-to-face education, both free and fee-for-service, that range in duration. Dementia Australia's Centre for Dementia Learning offers several online modules about person-centred care, communication, residential care, primary care, nutrition and medication. These modules range from 20 minutes to an hour. Many are free, but some have a small cost, on average about $10. There are also several courses that can be delivered face-to-face, including the Montessori for Dementia program and Enabling Eddie. This is an immersive virtual reality experience. These courses are fee-for-service. For more information about these courses, head to dementialearning.org.au. The Centre for Dementia Learning also has many courses related to COVID-19. Dementia Training Australia has several free online courses that have been designed for primary and allied health professionals as well as aged care staff. Some of the topics include home and community care, management for GPs, acute care, and caring for LGBTI people with dementia. These modules are available through the Dementia Training Australia website, dta.com.au. The University of Tasmania offer a range of courses through the WICKING Dementia Research and Education Centre. There are undergraduate and postgraduate degrees offered in dementia care. These programs also currently have a 100% HEX waiver fee for the first 8 units and 50% for the subsequent 16 units. In addition, the Wicking Centre also offers 2 8-week online courses that are free. These are the Preventing Dementia and Understanding Dementia MOOC. MOOC is an acronym for a massive open online course. These courses allow access to university-level information and resources for free with no exams or assignments. Courses can be done at your own pace and at a time that suits you. For more information about the UTAS courses, head to utas.edu.au/wicking. Our last area of discussion is important contacts and resources for providers. This slide lists contact information for organisations and services that may be helpful for staff, people living with dementia, and their family or carers. The National Dementia Helpline is run by Dementia Australia. It's open 9 to 5 weekdays and offers information about dementia and memory loss, information on reducing dementia risk, information about government support services such as My Aged Care, the Carer Gateway and Centrelink, information about Dementia Australia services, and emotional support to manage the impact of dementia. The helpline is also available through a chat messaging service and offers callbacks. You can access this service by phone, or for more information, head to dementia.org.au/helpline. Dementia Support Australia provide information and support for family and carers, people living with dementia, and aged care professionals through the Dementia Behaviour Management Advisory Service, or DBMAS. They have a free 24-hour-a-day, 7 days a week phone number with access to a dementia consultant who can offer ongoing support related to behavioural and psychological symptoms of dementia or provide referral. You can access this service via the phone number or head to dementia.com.au. Finally, the Carer Gateway offers a range of services for all carers, including counselling, coaching, peer support, and several courses. Carers can also request a callback from this service. The Carer Gateway can be accessed via the phone or visit carergateway.gov.au. So that is our final webinar in this series. We hope that you have found these webinars interesting and informative. If you have any questions or would like any more information about anything in this webinar series, please contact us at sectorsupport@yourside.org.au. We would also love to hear your feedback about this series, so an evaluation survey will be available via the Sector Support e-bulletin. On behalf of the Sector Support team, I thank you again for watching and look forward to connecting with you again in the future.